What's up guys, welcome back to TheBigFat Fit. We are going to be changing the format of some of the videos from now on. Drop in your questions. I'll pick one very good question and make a whole video on it. Now this is for YouTube comments only, so get cracking. This week's question is amazing. Here goes. I've made a video on this, but worthwhile answering. Hey, I've lost a bit of weight. I want to know the science behind getting rid of face fat. I want to have that chiseled face with a jawline. I realize that you also post losing have changed your face. What did you do? Your advice would be helpful. So guys, it all boils down to three things. Number one is fat. Number two is water. Number three is genetics. Now when I say genetics, some things can be done there as well. Now as a fat guy, all I wanted to do, number one, was to have a look at my Adam's apple. And when I started losing weight, I wanted to see the jawline. Believe me, I've gone to incredible lengths to see that happen, only to realize that that was not something I should have been chasing. It is very simple, very basic. If you have it, it's pretty easy to have it shown. Now talking about fat. If you're fat, I'm sorry, you'll not be able to see it. If your body fat percentage is high, if your body composition shows a little bit amount of muscle mass, a little bit amount of water, and more fat, I'm sorry, you're never going to have a chiseled face. It's simply not the case. Now this is also for skinny fat people and for fat people in general. So the first thing that you need to be looking at is fat itself. For example, I'm bulking right now. You can see my face is a little bit full. When I'm hardcore cutting, or you can see these bodybuilders when they're shredded paper thin, you can see the skeleton almost. So the first answer is body fat percentage reduction, and that happens, I'm not going to go tell you again and again, with weight loss. So weight loss is the absolute best way to do it, but sometimes you could do something else as well, and that is number two, water. Now most of the times when you're bloated, it's actually not fat. You just don't gain fat by, overeating on a weekend. Sometimes when you overeat on a weekend, go to a party, or, just mess up on your diet, you will have the tendency to store some water, and that is what causes the bloat. It happens during short windows of calorie surpluses, and that can be managed through two things. Number one is carbohydrates. Number two, sodium. Now the face by nature tends to collect a lot of water, and if you eat a ton of carbs, get this, every gram of carbohydrate, which is equal to 4 calories, that's another story, but it stores 2 to 3 grams of water in the body. And that can be stored almost any place, but majority of us see it in faces, abdominal areas, chest and whatnot. Sometimes water weight in the face caused by overeating carbs can get rid of your facial aesthetics. The next point is sodium, right? Now, sodium is a water retainer. The more sodium you have, the more salt you have, the more spicy food you have, the more processed food you have. All of these things contain a lot of sodium in it. Yes, magnesium is important. Yes, zinc is important. Yes, iron is important. But sodium has too much of a say in many things that happen in our fitness lives. Now, excess of sodium would mean that you'll retain a lot of water again. And that can be seen collected in faces. So yes, go try a low sodium diet, and believe me, you will be absolutely flushed out. Now, the best advice would be to not at all mess with your water levels, because that's health and wellness in general, a separate topic. But if you want to cut down on water weight, which a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of these physique competitors do, you can get rid of sodium. So yes, most of these times it's just water weight, guys, and it has a tendency to be stored in the face, and you can avoid it by number one, not by not drinking water, but by cutting down on carbohydrates, and number two, by reducing sodium intake. And an advice here again, do not mess with sodium too much, because it has, as I told you before, too many connections with the human body for you to fuck around. Now the last point that I have to make is sometimes it's on genetics, and you can't play around with nature. Now some folks have broad shoulders, wider arms, longer legs, and naturally chiseled jaws. Some folks simply do not. Now for you guys, I have a tip or two that can definitely help you out. So all of you folks who may have like a rounded jaw, or a round face, or things that simply are beyond your control, but you still want to fall into the society's rules and regulations, I understand you. It's alright. My 2 tips would be this. Work your neck. Literally go bonkers. I want you to consider your neck muscles as if it's your bicep or tricep and work out. Google the exercises. Do not ask me. Trust me. Work your neck and you will have a very different appearance of the face. Now the second tip might be a long stretch, but practice and compounding interest works here as well. Chewing gums, doing the mewing technique, buying that little rubber stick that you can just, bite on. These things actually work. I'm not even joking, you guys. They don't work like, magic, but over a long duration of time, they give you that little extra added kind of a value. That's about it. Nothing special is going to happen, but you're still going to be putting some effort that's going to compound over time. So yes, guys, you are welcome. That is the science behind the face getting fatter day by day, how you can avoid it, what you can do, what is in your control and what is not in your control. I'm going to see you guys. Drop in your questions. Do not forget to subscribe. The book is coming out. I can't wait to kind of put it out there in the world. Drop a like. And yes, whatever that is that you're doing in your life, hopefully you have a productive ass week. I'll be back answering another question pretty darn soon. See you.